The cargo hauler Meridian's Edge drifted through the Kepler belt like a ghost ship, its hull scarred by micrometeorite impacts and decades of neglect. Kevin checked the radiation readouts for the third time that hour, his fingers dancing across the haptic interface with practiced efficiency. The numbers hadn't changed. They never did out here, in the quiet spaces between human colonies where nothing lived and nothing ever would. Contact in 47 minutes, Jennifer's voice crackled through the comm system, distorted by the solar interference that made this region of space a navigator's nightmare. You seeing what I'm seeing on the scanner? Kevin pulled up the sensor data, his eyes narrowing. Something was out there, tumbling in a decaying orbit around a nickel iron asteroid. The thermal signature was all wrong, too hot for debris, too irregular for a ship. Could be a probe. Maybe one of the old Chinese deep space explorers from the 2080s. Running spectral analysis now. A pause. Kevin, you need to see this, the composition, it's organic. He felt his pulse quicken despite himself. Organic matter didn't survive in hard vacuum, not without extraordinary protection. He brought up Jennifer's analysis on his secondary screen and felt the breath catch in his throat. Carbon-based compounds, complex amino acid chains, and something else, a crystalline structure his database couldn't identify. I'm suiting up, he said, already moving toward the airlock. Negative. Protocol says we observe and report. Central Command will send a proper survey team. By the time they get here, whatever that is will have burned up in the asteroid's gravity well. Kevin sealed his helmet, the heads-up display flickering to life. I'm just going to take a closer look. 5 minutes in and out. Jennifer's sigh carried the weight of every argument they'd had over his 17 months aboard the Meridian's Edge. Your funeral. Tether stays attached, and if your oxygen drops below 20%, I'm reeling you in whether you like it or not. The maneuvering unit carried him across the void with precision jets of compressed nitrogen. As he approached, the object resolved into something his mind struggled to categorize. It was roughly 12 meters long, serpentine, with what appeared to be wings folded against a scaled body. The surface shimmered with an iridescence that seemed to shift through colors that shouldn't exist. A dragon. His rational mind rejected the classification immediately, but he couldn't unsee it. The creature for it was clearly a creature, not a machine, had 4 limbs ending in talons that could have crushed his suit with ease. Its elongated head featured a crown of crystalline horns that caught and refracted the distant sunlight into rainbow fractals. Jennifer, are you getting this feed? I'm getting it, I just don't believe it. Her voice had gone quiet, almost reverent. Biosigns are faint but present. Core temperature is dropping fast. Whatever it is, it's dying. Kevin maneuvered closer, his gloved hand reaching out almost involuntarily. The moment his fingers made contact with the scaled hide, everything changed. Heat flooded through his suit's thermal regulators, spiking his internal temperature by 3 degrees in seconds. His HUD went haywire, symbols he'd never seen before cascading across his vision. Then came the voice, not through his comm system, but directly inside his skull. Human strange, warm help. The thoughts weren't words, not exactly. They were concepts, raw and unfiltered, carrying emotions and sensations he had no framework to process. Pain, loneliness, ancient beyond measure, and underneath it all, a desperate, fatting hope. It's telepathic, Kevin managed, his own voice sounding distant in his ears. Jennifer, it's trying to communicate. Get back to the ship, now, your vitals are spiking. Dying vessel failing, merge, together strong, apart nothing. Kevin understood in that crystalline moment of contact. The creature wasn't just dying, it was dissolving at the quantum level, its exotic matter state incompatible with this region of space-time. But it had found something here in him that resonated, something that could anchor it to reality. It wants to join with me, he said, some kind of symbiosis. Absolutely not, we have no idea what. But the dragon was already moving, its body beginning to break apart into streams of luminous particles that flowed around him like water. Kevin felt his suit's integrity warnings shriek as the substance phased through the composite material as though it were mist. Then it touched his skin, and the universe inverted. Pain came first, every nerve ending igniting simultaneously. Then came the flood of alien memories, soaring through the corona of blue giants, diving through the event horizons of black holes, dancing in the quantum foam at the edge of space itself. The dragon was old, older than human civilization, older than humanity itself. It was one of the Kervith, reality swimmers who moved through dimensions the way humans walk through rooms. Except merge become. Kevin screamed, but the sound never reached his microphone. His consciousness was being rewritten, expanded, transformed. The dragon's essence wove itself through his neural pathways, its exotic matter restructuring his cells at the molecular level. He could feel his DNA helix unspooling and reforming, incorporating sequences that couldn't exist according to terrestrial biochemistry. Then, as suddenly as it began, it stopped. Kevin hung in space, his breathing ragged, his body trembling with aftershocks. But he was alive, more than alive. He could feel the dragon's presence coiled around his brainstem, not controlling him but merged with him. Two consciousnesses occupying one space, distinct yet unified. "Kevin, talk to me." Jennifer's voice cut through the haze. "I'm here," he managed. "Jennifer, I can see things. Quantum fluctuations in the solar wind, the gravitational eddies around the asteroid. There are structures in space-time I never knew existed. Your biosigns are impossible. Heart rate, neural activity, cellular metabolism, everything's off the charts. I'm bringing you in." The tether went taut, but Kevin barely noticed. With a thought, his thought or the dragon's, he couldn't tell anymore. He felt the maneuvering unit respond with unprecedented precision. No, not the unit. Him. He was manipulating the magnetic fields around his suit, using them to propel himself with far greater efficiency than the nitrogen jets ever could. When he cycled through the airlock and removed his helmet, Jennifer was waiting. She took one look at his eyes, now flecked with the same iridescence that had covered the dragon's scales, and took a step back. "What did you do?" she whispered. Kevin flexed his hand, watching as faint traces of light flickered beneath his skin. He could feel the power thrumming through him, the dragon's mastery of forces humanity had barely begun to understand. Gravity, electromagnetism, the strong and weak nuclear forces. They were no longer abstract concepts, but tangible things he could reach out and touch. "I saved its life," he said, "and it saved mine. We're more now, both of us." Over the following hours, as the Meridian's edge continued its lonely patrol, the full extent of the transformation became clear. Kevin could now perceive radiation across the entire electromagnetic spectrum. He could calculate orbital mechanics in his head with supercomputer precision. Most remarkably, he could manipulate matter at the quantum level, restructuring molecules through nothing but focused will. Jennifer watched with a mixture of fear and wonder as he demonstrated, turning a steel bolt into gold, then platinum, then back to steel. "This breaks every law of thermodynamics we know," she said. Kevin corrected, his voice carrying harmonics that hadn't been there before. "It operates on laws we haven't discovered yet. The Kervith evolved in a region of space where the physical constants are different. They learned to navigate those differences, to move between incompatible physics regimes." He paused, accessing memories that weren't his own. "There are others out there, Jennifer. Civilizations that would make our greatest achievements look like children playing with blocks, and some of them are coming." "Coming here?" Kevin nodded, his transformed eyes focusing on something light years distant. The dragon was a scout, sent to warn anyone who could understand. There's a convergence approaching, a point where multiple realities will intersect. When it happens, Earth will be at the center. He felt the dragon's determination merge with his own resolve. Alone, humanity would be crushed by forces it couldn't even perceive. But together, human ingenuity merged with Kervith wisdom. Perhaps they stood a chance. "We need to get back," Kevin said. "We need to warn them, and we need to prepare." Jennifer studied him for a long moment, then nodded. "I'll set course for Mars Central, but Kevin, whatever you've become, don't lose who you were." He smiled, and for just a moment, he was simply the cargo hauler technician she'd worked alongside for over a year. Then the dragon's presence surged, and his eyes blazed with otherworldly light. "I won't," he promised, "because who I was is the only reason any of this matters." The Meridian's edge altered course, its engines burning bright against the dark. Inside, something unprecedented had been born, not human, not alien, but a bridge between worlds. And in the vast, indifferent cosmos, that bridge might be exactly what humanity needed to survive what was coming. The merger was complete, the transformation unstoppable. And the real journey had only just begun.